All right, welcome to MissouriNet.com. I'm Bill Pollack. Today I'm joined by TJ Fenske of KRCG-TV, Jefferson City. Week 1 in the books, the Missouri Tigers with a 38-18 win over South Dakota State. TJ, this one was close in the third quarter, got to a one-point game, and you're kind of sitting there thinking, hey, wait a minute, this is getting a little close, too close for comfort, and then Missouri pulls away. What did you see out of this game? What do you take away from the first game of the season in general, your overall thoughts?
I mean, it is the first game of the season, and you can blame it on maybe a little rust, getting back into it. But I was a little disappointed in the offense. First quarter, I mean, it looked good, but second and third quarter, specifically the passing game, Matty Mock they couldn't get anything going. A lot of quick 3-and-outs, couldn't move the ball against the South Dakota State defense that you could obviously see on the field. That Missouri was much bigger than on the offensive line, much more talented. That's my biggest concern, but a win's a win. There are a lot of positive points. I mean, defense played well, got turnovers when they needed it, special teams, minus Andrew Baggett missing a couple field goals. You got Marcus Murphy returning a kickoff. Running backs were good. So a lot of positives, but still a lot of question marks. They got to go back they said after the game, they got to go back to the drawing board on offense and improve.
If I had one spot of the offense that I think needs some work, and I was a little surprised by this, was maybe the blocking and the pass blocking. I thought South Dakota State did a pretty good job of putting pressure on Matty Mock when he dropped back to throw. There were a lot of times where he was scrambling.
Exactly, yeah. He was trying to, I guess, save the play almost. It seemed like it stuck out to me in the second and third quarter. He was always scrambling and trying to run, and Missouri loves those quick, passes, the outs, and he didn't even have time for those. The South Dakota D linemen, they obviously were smaller. You could totally tell on the field when I was there, but they struggled on the offensive line too.
That touchdown pass that he threw to Bud Sasser, where he was kind of scrambling around, like you said, keeping the play alive, and he kind of threw that one up there. I think in an SEC game, that thing probably gets picked off. That was an ill-advised pass, I thought.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, and he just threw it up there. It's kind of a jump ball, and Bud Sasser is not really known to get those, but it was a lesser talent, and they can't expect to win playing like they did, even against, I think, Toledo. But I mean, you gotta give it to Matty Mock. He created plays, trying to run around. That's one of his skill sets, is being able to extend the play, which was good. But they have a lot of improvement to go.
All right, let's talk about the defense. I thought the defense was pretty solid. There was the very first play of the season, the 75-yard run. The ball kind of popped out. It kind of, Gary Pinkel said yesterday, kind of threw them out of whack. No excuses. But from that point on, though, Zach Zenner, here's a guy who had 2,000 yards rushing in his last 2 seasons, and he got shut down where I think he had 28 yards on his next 16 carries. So that was a great defensive stand there by that line and shutting down the run game.
Yeah, that was a fluke play how the guy scored. But you got to be impressed with the defensive linemen, the linebackers. They really held him in check. Didn't really let him get a really a run over 10 yards, 20 yards pretty much after that fluke play. You got to be impressed. And Zenner, yeah, I think he led the FCS last year in rushing. That's got to be a positive note for sure.
But like you said, it was one game. It was hot. So, certainly South Dakota State, no pushover. Now you look to a Toledo team. And, I was thinking about this, TJ. We're joined, by the way, by TJ Fenske of KRCG-TV, and he's with us every week on our Google Hangouts as we get ready to look ahead to Mizzou and Toledo. The game last week against South Dakota State reminded me a lot of the Toledo game last year, where it was a close football game late in the third quarter. Toledo's right there with Mizzou, and then the Tigers were able to finish in that fourth quarter and pull away for the victory. Pinkel goes back to the team where he came from, where he had great success with Toledo. That football program is favored to win the MAC West. What do you see? What type of challenges do you see for Mizzou this week?
With Toledo, I was reading they returned 18 starters, both sides of the ball. So obviously experience. They've played Missouri once before. Like I said, they're talented. They're favored to win the MAC West. But it's kind of funny, as you mentioned. I think last year, obviously Missouri won the SEC East. They had trouble with Murray State in the first game, and then Toledo. So I don't know what happens with these first couple games. Tiger fans shouldn't worry. But I mean, Toledo has a new quarterback. I believe he's an Alabama transfer. So I think that it poses a threat. I mean, Missouri should win this game. But Toledo, they're experienced. They'll come out. They want a little revenge from last year. But obviously, if Toledo is close in it in the third quarter, and you got to wonder if this game's close in the fourth quarter, can Missouri pull it out?
Yeah, they took on New Hampshire, and I think they outscored the Wildcats 51-6 from the middle of the second quarter until late in the game. After getting off to a slow start, they were down 14-3 in the game. But you're talking about Philip Eli, the transfer quarterback who backed up A.J. McCarron. He was 24 of 34 for 337 yards and 4 touchdowns. So, there again, you got a game where Toledo gets off to a slow start, and then they get things rolling and take care of a much lesser opponent in New Hampshire. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. That's a good point that you bring up about Mizzou getting off to some slow starts. But yeah, this is certainly a game that they should win. But I don't know. This one kind of scares me though too a little bit, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it was just from what I saw from the offense, or it just looked to me like last year Toledo had a chance to come in here and steal this thing, and they kind of self-destructed with their returning guys playing on their home field. It might be a little bit closer than we think.
Yeah, and I think I said last week, this is the game I'm most worried about in the preseason. I mean, even though you got UCF, always going on the road against a lesser, in all respect to Toledo, a lesser opponent, but they're looking for, they're bringing a top 25 team to their stadium, which they don't really get to do a lot. So they're going to have the emotions high, probably a sellout crowd. Thankfully, it's not at night. It's in the afternoon, which helps. But definitely, this team's dangerous. I mean, they know they've played with Missouri last year, so they know they can do it again this year. So it'll be very interesting. But I think Missouri's got to pull this one out. They have to, especially going into SEC play. They want to be 4-0.
Yep, a noon kickoff, and you're right. What that does is you're not sitting around all day waiting for this thing. You get rolling. Kind of a homecoming for Matty Mock, too. He's about an hour drive from where he grew up in Kenton to Toledo, so he's going to have some friends and family there. He also said yesterday that, he's going to have people there that, he played against, some high school fans, and he's beat a lot of those people, too. So he says he expects to maybe hear some boos as well.
Oh, exactly. That'll be fun for him. I think from Kenton, Ohio, it'll be interesting to see if they give him an applaud or boos. But I think he's really looking forward to it. Maybe this will kind of spark a little enthusiasm, and maybe spark, I guess, an impressive performance from him.
All right, 30 seconds left. Keys to the game for Missouri. What do you want to see them do here against Toledo?
Defense first has to step up a bit like last game. They got to keep this game under control. Eli, I think he threw for over 300 yards. Try and keep him down. In Missouri, they have to be. Their running attack was good, but they got to be good through the air. They got to extend drives because they're not like a quick score and bring the defense back on. They got to extend drives, go 10 plays, score a touchdown, use the clock. If they can do that, I think they'll win this game.
TJ Fenske from KRCG-TV out of Jefferson City. Thanks again for the visit this week, and we'll see if the Tigers can make it 2-0.
I hope so. Thanks, Bill. Yeah.
All right, and thanks for watching us here at MissouriNet.com.